Okay, in this video, I wanted to go over in the Verbal Judo book by George Thompson. He has a five-step system called LEAPS, and he uses it to help generate compliance from people who are being difficult. It's an acronym, the LEAPS. The L stands for listen. When you listen, you got to look like you're listening. You want to project a face that makes it obvious. People often say things that are not worth hearing. You've heard them all before. A person may not even make sense, but the moment your eyes glaze over as if you're uninterested or don't care, conflict can erupt. So it's even more important to look interested than to actually be interested. E is for empathize. Empathizing essentially means standing in the shoes of another person and seeing things through the eyes of another. Not suggesting you have to agree with that person. Everyone's entitled to their point of view, right or wrong, just or unjust. Don't agree, just try to understand where they're coming from. And we talked about that in the other videos about empathy, how it's one of the biggest attention busters. A is ask. There are at least 5 different types of questions. There are fact-finding questions. There are who, what, when, where, why, and how. They ask for specific data. There's general questions. By definition, general questions are open-ended questions. For example, like, what really happened here today? There's opinion-seeking questions. Opinion-seeking questions ask for an opinion and allow for latitude. Is there some way we can solve this problem? There are direct questions that are basically yes or no questions. Did you dump the garbage on this man's lawn over here? And there are leading questions. Leading questions almost always anger people because essentially they put words into their mouths. Isn't it true that, so you want to try to avoid those. The advice is to start with a series of general questions to loosen people up. Then you want to ask some opinion-seeking questions. Gradually and naturally move on to the more direct and fact-finding questions, resorting to leading questions only when necessary, as they tend to be the least helpful out of those. The P is for paraphrase, and we went over paraphrasing in another video too. When somebody comes at you with verbal abuse, forget the tone and the emotion. Put the complaint in your own words and play it back for him. Even if you've misunderstood, he can see that you're trying and he'll want to try to help you get it straight as you paraphrase. And S is for summarize. Summarizing is a different use of language altogether. By definition, it means condensing, taking all that you've discussed with them and putting it together in a simple, concise statement. Okay, so an exercise you can do with this, let's say a student comes to you with some sort of a concern about maybe new material they were presented with, maybe they have a problem at home outside of the school, or maybe they're being bullied in school verbally and physically, and I want you to use the LEAP system and try to deal with them. So you can do that with that, or you can use that to deal with a difficult person, so you can make scenarios and play with that for an exercise for the class. All right, see you in the next one.